Hey guys, Martin here for another Fanfiction Friday video. If you're not familiar with how these videos work, we take a number of character names, locations, and scenarios and put them into separate hats and draw them out one by one, and then when we have all of our elements, or whatever you call them, we have to create a story out of those in the space of half an hour. It's a very strict rule and we can't go over half an hour, so the result tends to be very interesting, or funny, hopefully funny. We do this every week, and it's a challenge that we like to pose for ourselves in order to get our creative juices flowing. Hopefully it gets your juices flowing, creatively or otherwise. So please enjoy.
The following fanfics are based on existing properties. We do not own the rights to the characters or the locations associated with them. These stories are intended to be non-profit and are written for fun only. Each author was randomly assigned 2 characters, a location, and a scenario. Each contestant was given 30 minutes to finish their story. What follows is the shocking results.
Hi everybody, it's me again. This week, I don't quite know what happened, but something happened. I drew Mario and Misty from Pokemon. Mario and Misty from Pokemon. And the situation takes place in a prison, and the scenario was interviewing for their dream job. But since it's prison, there aren't many jobs, so I just had him interview for the position of in the kitchen. Is that a job, in the kitchen? All right. Well, here we go. Without further ado, whatever the fuck this is. She leaned back in her high-back chair, the only thing she interacted with in this entire facility that made her feel like she was somewhere else. She liked turning her back to the door when she was expecting company, only allowing them to see the shock of orange hair that poked out over the seat from the messy ponytail she still kept after all these years. It was probably the only thing of her past self that she had kept since being placed in Cerulean City's maximum security prison. She still remembered the smell of that kid's blood splattered on her knuckles after she had beaten him to death with her own fists for stealing her bike. The carnage was so severe that they had tried her as an adult and thrown her where they knew she couldn't escape. They didn't even humor her attempts to appeal, and after a while, she stopped, because she started liking it better in here than out there. The door creaked open. Like she had planned, she was facing away from it. There was the soft sound of a nervous man clearing her throat, and she steepled her fingers as he said her name. "Ah, Miss Misty." Slowly she turned around, meeting the wide blue eyes of a plump male Italian stereotype that stood quaking in her office, clutching his hat in his hands in some bizarre show of respect. "Call me Red," she said simply, her voice young but dark with years of experience. "You're here to interview for a position in my kitchen?" The man nodded. Misty looked down at the paper he had placed on her desk before calling her name, glancing at the name printed proudly in bold letters across the top. "Mario," she said, and he nodded. "That's a me," he responded. I'm sorry. Thick accent punctuating the words. She set the paper down, scratching nonchalantly under her jumpsuit's orange sleeves as she continued reading. "Displayed strengths in leadership positions, particularly in search and rescue-related fields. Impressive. But I've heard you haven't had much success there. I heard that the reason you're in here is for kidnapping. That Peach and Bowser were married and you just wouldn't leave them alone." "Allegedly," Mario eagerly corrected, and Misty raised her brows in amusement. "Sure," she said, slapping the resume down on her desk. "But let's cut the crap here, plumber. Why should I let a janitor into my kitchen? What makes you any better than the Pokemon I've got working in there?" "Well," he began hesitantly, "I can actually read the menu. Hoo-hoo!" "That's my job," the redhead hissed. "You're not trying to take my job, are you?" No, I would not dream of it. It's just, I'm tired of scrubbing toilets." "And you're tired of being away from the action, I bet," Misty said. "Gotta be pretty hard getting contraband through toilets, right? Yeah, I've heard of your connections with the Koopa gang. I know they're trying to sneak you stuff, and they don't like Bowser being married to a human." Mario winced, his cover blown with each word she said. She smirked, enjoying her moment of superiority. "Relax," she said, leaning back into her chair. "I'm not interested in ratting you out to the warden. Not if you're willing to deal." "What did you have in mind?" Mario stuttered, replacing his hat on his head as his eyes started to harden. Now they were talking business. "I want 25% of your gross. I also want my own contact on the inside so I can add to your Koopa's little shopping list." Mario narrowed his eyes. 20%. "Deal." You're on the line starting tomorrow. Don't fuck this up. Yahoo! Mario let out a victory noise, jumping with his fist pumped enthusiastically into the air. He darted out the door before she could change her mind, and she was alone again, smirking to herself. She had connections across all departments, but now she finally had her claws in janitorial. It wouldn't be long now before more of her water Pokemon could come through the pipes and hide in their equipment. There'd be no stopping her after she assembled her army. The mess she made of that Ketchum kid would be the least of Cerulean's problems. Bum, bum, bum!
Hey guys, Martin here. For this week's fanfic, I had a couple of suggestions from the comments. The two characters I got were Francis, Cthulhu's gay brother, or cousin, I forget which one, we'll find out when we read the story, which was suggestion not from the comments but by Marianne, so blame her for that one. Not that there's anything offensive about it, it's just difficult to work into a story. I blame her for that. The second character was voted for by several of you. I don't know the names specifically, but at least 6 or 7 of you guys wanted Cool Cat in one of our fics, so I get to write Cool Cat with Francis, Cthulhu's gay brother, cousin. The location is Paris, France, and the scenario, which was suggested by PT for Life, so shout out to you, PT, is on the run from immigration, so something I'm very familiar with. Not being on the run, but immigration. The story I decided to call Cool Cat Saves the Illegal Immigrants, which may or may not describe what actually takes place in the story, so let's jump right in and find out. Zut alors! Screamed the thousands of Parisians as they scarpered through the streets in a pretentious mob. A cloud of beret-topped heads rushed from the chaos that was threatening to tear apart their typically serene and picturesque capital. Where once sat a series of cafes and patisseries, there now lay only a broken array of brick and mortar. The French folk continued to flee and scream in their amusing accents. Merde! S'il vous plaît! C'est un gros horreur! Ce n'est pas amusant à la filmographie de Jerry Lewis! Towering over the Eiffel Tower, Francis, Cthulhu's gay brother, minced dangerously close to the Seine River as his impossibly vast leather wings engulfed the stars, tentacles writhing effeminately beneath his majestic, grotesque features. His feet crushed entire city blocks as he stomped slowly away from the pursuing police vehicles and military craft. With one of his mighty talons, he lunged down and scooped water from the river, soaking his thirsty tendrils and coughing, a noise like thunder emitting from his unseen maw. Gotta remember to hydrate when you're bringing about the end of civilization, Francis announced to nobody in particular, his mountainous frame blotting out the setting sun. He felt the annoying prickle of a series of missiles connecting with the base of his spine, and he giggled, wagging a discouraging claw at them. Come on, honey buns, you gotta want it. What is going on? As the waves of French civilians retreated from the unsightly Lovecraftian giant, only a scant few stopped to take note of the heroic figure who, while thousands fled, chose to stand his ground. Amidst the rubble and ruin, one orange symbol of justice and awesomeness strode into the apocalyptic melee and confronted the beast that threatened to swallow Paris. Sacre bleu! A few French bystanders remarked as they watched the mythical figure emerge from the panicky mob and walk toward Francis. C'est le chat magnifique! Another voice echoed until hundreds, nay, thousands of French onlookers were speaking in hushed unison. Chat magnifique! Chat magnifique! Chat magnifique! I don't know who this Chat Magnifique is, but it's me, Cool Cat! Cool Cat thrust his furry finger into the air, and with his free hand he pounded an orange fist to his chest, whereabouts his name had been immortally emblazoned upon his blue shirt. And I'm here to stop this big bully right in his tracks! From a nearby hotel balcony, Vivica A. Fox and Eric Estrada took a break from drinking their martinis so that they could gesture meaningfully at the man in the poorly designed cat fursuit. Hey, Vivica! That's Cool Cat! I sure hope he knows how to solve this problem. Eric Estrada spoke as though reading from an auto cue, his eyes still fixed on the martini in his chiseled right hand. Cool Cat was all Vivica A. Fox could bring herself to say before alcohol reunited with her full B-list celebrity lips. What's going on here? Cool Cat asked, gesturing toward the homosexual elder god. You think you can just bully the people of France into being your friend? Come on, man, that's not cool. Cool Cat, Francis, Cthulhu's gay brother, replied, recognizing another supernatural deity in the fursuited fellow. It's not how it looks.
A likely story.
Cool Cat chided, shaking his static face in disapproval of Francis's destruction of Notre Dame Cathedral.
I think you're just trying to suck up to all the other awesome kids in your class by making a huge mess.
Cool Cat turned to face the camera, and a rap beat began playing from some unknown source.
I'm Cool Cat, and I'm here to say the total devastation of the French people is not okay. When a giant evil is destroying the place, remember to respect people regardless of race. And don't forget, when you're crossing the road...
I don't have time to listen to one of your awesome raps right now, Cool Cat, explained Francis as he plucked part of the Louvre from between his toes. I'm on the run from immigration. They think I'm visiting this astral plane just so I can illegally marry my boyfriend, Pierre.
Boyfriend? That's cool.
Cool Cat reinforced his statement with a thumbs up.
Cool Cat thinks it's okay to be gay. In fact, it's really cool. But you can't just run away from your problems, Francis. What would Eric Estrada say about that?
Eric Estrada's contract did not require him to be in any more scenes, so unfortunately we will never know what he would say. I suppose I have gone a tad overboard. Francis blushed, a sight that caused anyone who looked upon it to lose their mind. I should probably just apply to become a French citizen the legal way, and spend the rest of my unnatural life filling out paperwork to prove I'm in a committed relationship.
Nothing is cooler than paperwork,
Cool Cat declared, which essentially made it known fact. With Francis's mood tempered, Cool Cat turned and began snapping his fingers, which caused all the Parisian survivors to join him in an impromptu low-budget music video. Cool Cat sang,
You gotta put the love back in Lovecraft.
Francis, Cthulhu's gay cousin, was denied his attempt to immigrate to France due to his wiping out most of the country's population. He still keeps in touch with Pierre via email. Cool Cat's new song went straight to #1 on the iTunes chart. The end.
Okay, so I got Invader Zim, guy in a sheet pretending to be a ghost, taking selfies at Six Flags. Zim knew that the humans would be easier to conquer if he could understand all the aspects of their culture. He knew that they were fickle, and he needed to cater to their petty emotions at every turn. His classmates had to get permission slips signed to attend something called Six Flags. He wasn't sure why they were all so excited, but he was certain that it was likely due to getting to meet world leaders, as planting flags to claim ownership had been brought up in many of the history lessons he had heard in class. After getting signatures forged by his robot parents, he knew that this trip would bring him one step closer to world domination. After an excruciatingly long bus ride in a vehicle that smelled like the decades of schoolchildren that had played farting games on the seats, they arrived at a decrepit park that had people screaming in terror as they flew around the tracks in bullet cars. In his mind, Zim was thinking how he misunderstood that this was not a place for meeting world leaders, but a means to make humans think that terrible situations are fun, which made the matter of attending jobs in school make more sense. Humans are far more stupid than I thought, Zim muttered to himself while looking at a costumed mascot that some small drooling children were standing by. While school children going on a trip to a theme park is a common occurrence, the same was true of groups of drunk college kids. While Zim was scanning the park to try and decipher the various aspects of the theme park conditioning rides, an intoxicated man who wore a sheet over his head in attempts to photobomb park selfies was sauntering in a direct line with Zim. Due to his fuzzy vision, the small green child seemed like he was dressing up too, and his drunken mind thought that this was another of his kind who was dressing as a zombie or alien to photobomb selfies taken at the park. "Hey man, nice getup. You here to bomb some pics too? Did you pregame?" said the sheeted figure. "An apparition!" Zim yelled at the obvious human in a sheet. He had seen some horror movies in an attempt to see what things could truly drive fear into the hearts of the inhabitants of Earth, but had only watched very early horror movies and indie films, not understanding that a person in a sheet wasn't actually a ghost. "You will help me to drive fear into the hearts of these humans?" Zim commanded. "Right on, little green dude. Let's go scare some unsuspecting humans." Zim was surprised when the sheeted figure was able to not only pick him up, but placed him atop his shoulders. "I can commune with the spirits of the fleshy creatures. I can build an army of their forgotten souls and take over this puny planet. Onward, ghost!" Zim said and pointed forward. The sheeted man made a beeline for a gaggle of young women who were taking picture after picture of themselves while waiting in line. He waited for the perfect moment and sprung up as they finished the countdown from 3 to take a photo. It would have been the perfect photobomb had Zim not yelled, "You fools!" from behind them, ruining the shot. After some disconcerting looks from the women whose picture had been ruined, the guy in a sheet set Zim down to have a heart-to-heart. "Hey, little buddy, you can't warn them when we're going to photobomb, otherwise they'll know we're here and we can't take the picture." Zim was starting to understand that if they weren't present in the photo, then the apparition couldn't enter their mobile devices and control their minds. This was a way to control them quickly and quietly, but it was a tedious process to bomb a photo for every person. Knowing the scale of the task at hand, he realized that he must remain silent and watchful for every person that had a phone in their hand. "I see your game, spirit! Come and we shall bring about the doom of the humans!" he said triumphantly. The guy put Zim atop his shoulders, and they spent the afternoon sneaking into photos left and right. By the end of the evening, Zim knew it was time to ride the bus back to their horrid stinkpot of a town, knowing that the other children wasted their day on conditioning their minds to return to the world of school. He shook hands with the sheeted man who said, "It was nice working with you, little buddy. Hope to see you get tagged on the photo somewhere. I'll look out for you." "Yes! We will make these humans rue the day they were foolish enough to let us capture their minds so carelessly," Zim said with a wicked smile painted across his face. Now that he knew he could work with human spirits and control them, taking over the planet would be a simple task. Oh no. It's not so simple after all, Meatball says. Tina's phone sat on her dresser with a dim blue light illuminating her room. The photo of her and her 3 friends with Zim and a man in a sheet in the background was showing on the screen in the open Twitter app which she had hashtagged Six Flags. Tina laid motionless, staring blankly at the ceiling as drool slid down her cheek from her open mouth. Her phone's screen had 2 eyes appear glowing in red from where the ghost's eyes would be. At the same time, her own eyes began to glow a deep red.
Remember, if you liked this or any of our other fanfics from previous weeks, you can find them all at the Archive of Our Own account listed in the description. If you have any suggestions for what we should use in terms of characters, locations, or scenarios for the next Fanfic Friday, please recommend them in the comments. If we like yours, we'll write them down and throw them into one of the hats that we pull the suggestions out from, and we'll credit you in the video when we come to read them out. As always, the fanfics that preceded this message were read by Marianne Miller, Martin Billany, and Caitlyn Muncy. Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoyed Fanfic Friday for this week.